The winter came down early that year, earlier than anyone remembered. The kind of winter that, arrived without warning and, settled into the bones like a quiet threat, turning breath into clouds and hope into something fragile and easily lost. The snow covered the plains in a dull white silence, and the wind carried with it the sound of empty stomachs and cracking wood. Christmas was only days away, but for many, including the poor widow named Eliza Graybird, Christmas was no longer a celebration. It was simply a date that passed while hunger stayed behind. Eliza lived on the far edge of the territory where the land was stubborn and unforgiving, in a cabin leaning slightly toward the earth as though exhausted from standing too long. Her husband had died 3 winters earlier, taken by sickness when medicine was a luxury and prayers were cheap. Since then, she survived by feeding horses, mending leather, and trading what little she could for flour and salt. That December morning, she awoke to the sound of hooves stumbling outside her cabin, not the sharp rhythm of healthy animals, but something heavy and wrong. She wrapped herself in her thin shawl, stepped into the cold, and saw them, 3 magnificent horses, frost clinging to their manes, breathing hard, their heads low with exhaustion. Nearby, slumped against a tree as though the world itself had pushed him down, lay an Apache man, tall even in sickness, his skin pale under its natural bronze, eyes closed, lips cracked, and body shaking with fever. Eliza froze, not from fear but from understanding what this moment meant. She knew who he was. Everyone did. He was known among settlers as Stone Bear, an Apache respected not for cruelty but for fairness. A man other men followed into danger. Helping him would be dangerous. Leaving him would be easier, safer. But Eliza had buried a husband once already and knew what it meant to walk away from a dying soul. So she did what the cold world did not. She chose kindness. She led the horses into her corral, brushing snow from their backs, whispering softly as she offered the last of her oats, knowing full well that this food was meant to last her until spring. She dragged the Apache inside step by step, ignoring pain in her arms and fear in her heart. She boiled water, broke the last of her dried herbs, wiped his forehead through the night, and spoke to him as if he could hear, telling him about the Christmas candles she used to light, about her husband's laugh, about the simple truth that no one deserved to die alone. Outside, the horses stood warm and fed, unaware that their survival and her sacrifice were silently binding fates together. For 3 days and 3 nights, Eliza stayed awake, feeding soup with trembling hands, whispering prayers she hadn't spoken since her husband died. On the 4th morning, just as the church bell miles away rang for Christmas Eve, the Apache opened his eyes. He said nothing. He only looked at her, truly looked, and in that moment something unspoken settled between them, heavy as promise. Eliza smiled weakly and said, "You're safe now. That's all that matters." And Stone Bear closed his eyes again, but this time not in surrender. This time in strength returning,